Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to another Pokemon Unite video. We're finally going to sit down and do this tier list right quick. You know, there's a lot of tier lists going around for every, everyone has different opinions. We got League players doing it, Smite players doing it. There's a lot going on. But at the end of the day, man, if you're a Pokemon fan, you know what you're looking for. You know what Pokemon you're after. You know you want to play your favorite Pokemon, what have you. Tier lists don't really matter to a lot of people. But some people actually pay attention to these things, so let's get into it. Let's go ahead and start off with, you got your Ninetales up here at your S rank. I think she's broken. What I mean is, like, in the right hands, not even in right hands all the time. If you just play Ninetales and you're good with Ninetales, you know what you're doing. Like, she brings a lot of crowd control to the table. She can wall you off at certain objectives and choke points. She can freeze any person on your team. And if she's focusing down the right carries, the right targets, she's very devastating for a team to deal with, man. Now, she has a lot of zone control. Her abilities are long range. She has a lot of poke. She can freeze you with auto attacks. There's a lot of fun and a lot of different, team compositions that you can build Ninetales around. I think if you're not playing Ninetales, you should probably pick her up and learn her kit. She brings a lot to your table, man. She's a lot of fun to pick up and play. She will carry you all the way to Masters from beginner. At the end of the day, just give her a shot, man. See where you guys, where you guys get to. Go ahead and bring Lucario up here. I personally think Lucario is one of the best Pokemon in the entire game right now in terms of raw DPS, mobility. He has it all. He has everything you could possibly want. He's got a knock-up on his auto attack. He's got either Power Punch or Extreme Speed. If you want to play Yasuo from League of Legends, this Lucario is your Pokemon. If you just want to sit here and punch people's face, if you want to play Vi from League of Legends, or you want to play someone in that aspect, go ahead, pick him up. He's got Power Punch. He can 1 or 2 shots any Pokemon in the entire game. Besides Crustle and Snorlax generally, well, besides those tanks, he can go ahead and kill whoever he wants to. Especially if he gets a couple levels ahead. He scales like a monster. His stats are very, very high. But in terms of Power Punch, it's a lot of fun. It gives him mobility, gives him a gap close. Let alone Bone Rush, mobility, gap close, disengage. He has everything you possibly want for a Pokemon who has high mobility. He's very hard to lock down, guys. I'll give it to you. You ready for this one? No, you're not. You're not ready for this. Garchomp. We're gonna put Garchomp down in the D tier. Like the lowest of the low. Like, this even pains me. Because I love Garchomp. We all love Garchomp. It's fan favorite. But Garchomp he sucks, man. I'm sorry, he's just not good. In any way you look at it, he's just not good. Now, you can argue that, but when he turns Garchomp, he does a lot of damage. He does. He does a lot of damage. But you have to stand there and fight him one-on-one, per se, to do a lot of damage. And 9 out of 10, if you're a smart person, you're going to walk away. Because you're going to understand that Garchomp doesn't have any ability to slow you down besides Dragon Rush. And that's just, You know what I mean? It's very lackluster. He can't stun you, he can't keep you in place. You just walk away from him, and guess what? You avoid all his damage. Now, in a team fight, though, if you ignore Garchomp, and he builds up his stacks, yes, he can go ahead and kill whole teams. But you don't see him in Masters and Ultra ranks. For that reason, he's just not very good. He gets bullied in the lane. So in other words, if you have Garchomp on your team and you're in the bot lane, essentially it's 1v2 in the bot lane. Because you don't do anything pre-level, pre-Garchomp. You don't do anything. Which I think needs to be looked at, I guess, overall, but it is what it is, man. Let's go ahead and move on from there. We'll take up your Snorlax here. Put your Snorlax in, top rank. Obviously, because the best tank in the entire game. He doesn't need any explanation. I think his wall, his bulkiness, just brings so much to your team. He can wall off objectives. He can stop Unite moves from happening. For example, if you go to Unite move and Snorlax times that perfectly, or even if he just bumping into you, try to Unite move, it'll cancel your Unite move, put it on cooldown, and then what? Snorlax did his job. He ticked you off, essentially. Like, he did his job. Now you're triggered, you can't do anything about it. Because he's Snorlax. He's just going to wall you off, laugh at your damage, and walk away and heal himself. Like, he's a phenomenal tank. Now, this is going to be questionable for a lot of people. A lot of people aren't going to know why I do this, but I'm going to do it just because. Why not? Gardevoir here. She's going to go in A rank. Why Gardevoir A? Why Garchomp D? Like, why the big difference? I think Garchomp is just overall much better than Garchomp. Why? Because she has a better early game. Again, at lower levels, her early game is pretty bad. Up until level 5 or level 6, she gets that first evolve. As soon as she evolves, she does so much damage, especially when it comes to Dreadnought, because by the time you hit level 5, teetering 6, sometimes you can hit 6 before Dreadnought spawns, you already have your big AoE big AoE damage that zones off so many players in lane. You can zone off so many people coming through choke points when you're fighting Dreadnought or Zapdos. Get your Psyshock or Future Sight. It is so much damage. In a giant AoE, you can collect so many people in the same circle. Now, you could argue what happens when she turns into Gardevoir at level 10. Like, what's different from Garchomp? In that sense, Garchomp's still trash, right? Versus Gardevoir at level 10. Like, there's a big difference. Why? First 8 minutes of the game don't matter, first of all. And once Zapdos spawns, guess what? You could say you played horrible as Gardevoir all game. But once you're level 10 and Zapdos is up, guess what? You can win the whole entire game right there. Why? Because your Unite move. Your Unite move just soaks up, grabs everyone that's in the AoE area and sucks them into a vortex. So guess what? You crowd control the whole enemy team, and if your team wipes them, you win the game. Because at choke points during Zapdos fights, Gardevoir shines. Gardevoir shines. As soon as she gets her first Evo, she shines. Just because her damage, her raw damage that she has brings to a squad in AoEs, it's so strong compared to every other Pokemon. Also, in case you don't know, she has the highest magic attack, special attack in the entire game. And it just scales with levels, man. She does so much work. But she doesn't have any escapes. She's very, very squishy once she's got onto. But at the end of the day, man, she does so much for your team. She's a lot of fun to play. I just don't feel she's necessarily like broken, give or take, you know? Let's go ahead and move on from here. We're going to go ahead and pick up Gengar. Gengar's not as strong as he used to be just because he got nerfed. Now, he used to be broken. Like, if you were to pick up this game on day 1, Gengar was the strongest Pokemon in this entire game. He deleted you just in an instant, and you didn't even know what happened. Now everyone knows Sludge Bomb. Okay, he hit me with Sludge Bomb. Alright, careful. Now if he hits you with Sludge Bomb, you want to walk away. You don't even want to fight him. But they nerfed him recently in the last patch to a point where it doesn't even do that much damage anymore. And when he does hit you with Sludge Bomb and jumps onto you, you can actually target him essentially and kill him. Before, it was just like the damage would come so instantaneously, you couldn't do anything about it. They add frames and stuff. Now he has vulnerability frames where you can actually hit him and deal a lot more DPS and, you know, kill him easily now. You can argue Shadow Ball and Dream Eater got buffed. It did. It's just not as good as Hex and Sludge Bomb even before. So with him being nerfed, it opens up windows for other junglers to be played now, right? Are you ready for this? Greninja. Best Pokemon, I personally think he's one of the best Pokemon in Pokemon Unite right now. Low key. In the right hands, I think people play him either correct or incorrect. Now, if you play him incorrectly, I wouldn't say you're going to be like an average tier Pokemon. But if you play him correctly, you're broken. He is not a ranged 80 carry. Don't play him like that. Now, yes, he does ranged 80 carry damage. I get what you're saying. But, I mean, the mindset-wise, don't play him as a ranged 80 carry. Play him as an assassin. Now, he's a ranged assassin, but you also have to know when to go in. Meaning, his Surf does execute, essentially, when they're low HP. So with that in mind, you have to know when to go in, when to activate Surf to kill a target. But in the same sense, you always want to be playing Greninja in the back line. You want to avoid the Snorlaxes, you want to avoid the Slowbros, avoid the frontline Pokemon, and go straight for the back line. That's what Smoke Screen's for. It's a get in, get out. Once you get him down, you'll become a god. And you'll go ahead and carry yourself all the way to Masters with this man. Like, he does so much work in the right hands versus an uncoordinated team. And 9 out of 10, you'll find all of those uncoordinated teams when you're solo queuing through rankings. Like, again, he carries you so hard when you get his kit down. Especially also if you have the right item build. Like, let's say you're running Scope Lens, you have a 20 level Scope Lens, you can crit for like 1300 damage just on your auto attacks sometimes. It's pretty nuts, man. Go ahead and move on from here. We're going to pick up Machamp. I'm going to put Machamp here. I don't feel Machamp is super strong anymore, personally. He got nerfed a little bit, but he also got buffed, you know, at the same sense. No, but again, I think Machamp could be higher on the tier list with game knowledge. That's it, just game knowledge. I don't think his ability is going to put him anywhere, just game knowledge. Like, he's a very, very suboptimal jungler, very slow in the jungle, not very good in the jungle. Just because there's other Pokemon that do it better. Now, his early game is very, very trash. Just until level 5. When he hits level 5, he gets submission, where you can run in, pick up a target, and slam him down. You become unstoppable while you do it. They can't crowd control you while you do it. Unless you're playing another Pokemon I'm going to mention on this list, who can stop you. But other than that, the problem is you have to know when to go in, you have to know who to go for. And if you don't have that game knowledge, it's a lot harder to just run in there and pick up Snorlax, for example, and slam him down. Your team is going to get mad at you, and you're going to die instantly because you shouldn't be going for tanks. But if as long as you go for the right targets, you know, and you pick up his abilities, you understand what they do and stuff, you can climb pretty high confidently with him. But again, if you're fresh to the game, I would not necessarily say he's a Pokemon for you right away. And then once he gets his Unite move, that's when he becomes super fun. Like, super fun. Because during chokeholds, like around Zapdos or Dreadnought and stuff, if you Unite move into like a group of Pokemon, like in a line, give or take, like if they're all grouped up, you can one-shot their whole team. Like, that's so much fun to do. But other than that, like, I feel he's a very gimmicky Pokemon. That's just me. Let's go ahead and move on from this, guys. Like I said, short and sweet, to the point. Let's get moving. Venusaur. Venusaur's a B rank now, personally. He got buffed. Beforehand, he was, I would say, a void, because his damage was horrible. Now that they buffed him, he actually does a lot of burst. Like, if you Solar Beam into a choke point, into a Zapdos, or into, like, you know, a group of Pokemon, like 1 or 2 Pokemon, whatever, Solar Beam does a lot of damage. It does a lot of burst damage now. Let alone his Sludge Bomb now. It does slows, and it does damage over time as long as you stand into it, and it's a big AoE. It does a lot of work now, guys. It's a lot more fun. I'll go ahead and put Cinderace up here in the top rank, in S. He shouldn't need an explanation. He's been top ranked Pokemon since the game came out, and he hasn't really been nerfed. He got nerfed on the last patch, but you don't ever take Pyro Ball over Blaze Kick anyway, so that doesn't matter. His damage is still very, very high, especially when left alone inside of a team fight. Like, he's in the back lines like the way he should be. So if you have a decent team in front of you, or you play from, you know, behind per se, no one's gonna be able to get to you. His Unite move can secure objectives. It can secure Dreadnoughts and Zapdos. The man's overall mobility is sheer fun. So as long as you play him correctly in the right hands, man, he's going to carry you to Masters, no problem, from beginner if you want to. Controversial pick right here. A lot of people ain't going to like it, but it is what it is, man. We're going to put Charizard in the C tier. Charizard recently got buffed, but I don't think the buff did enough for him to warrant him into a broken category or an S rank category. I think he's mediocre at best. He has no mobility. You could argue Fire Punch. Fire Punch goes, what, like an inch, give or take? I think that's too much. But yeah, it doesn't do anything, essentially. He does damage a little bit, but only when he Unite moves. Other than that, he's lackluster. Like, you can just walk away from him in that sense. He's better than Garchomp, though, that's for sure. But he's still not, like, pick him over other Pokemon. Unless he's your favorite Pokemon. I mean, other than that, sorry, guys. He needs some love, man. Eldegoss got nerfed recently. Just, you know, a little bit. She got nerfed a little bit at the end of the day. But hey, I still think she's broken. A lot of people still think she's broken. She brings a lot to your table. She's the only Pokemon in the game that generally heals you. She brings shields, AoE heals, AoE shields. She has everything you possibly want in a support Pokemon. Like, if you're a support player, you're going to love playing Eldegoss. Now, she doesn't have that many, how you say, like, that much mobility. She has mobility abilities that give her, like, boost in movement speeds and stuff. She can fly in the air for a little bit for her Unite move. She has areas in which she can become invulnerable, but she has a lot of potential to avoid damage with her shields and her heals and stuff. The Pokemon itself, if they're going to nerf her, they need to nerf her again. But until that point, like, until we get other Pokemon in the meta and in the game, she's going to be the best healer. The best healer in this entire game. She's phenomenal, guys. Overall, if you're a support player, you're going to love playing her. Go ahead and move on from here. You guys ain't gonna like this pick, but it is what it is. We're gonna put Talonflame up in B tier. Yes, better than Charizard. Yes, better than some other Pokemon. Talonflame got buffed recently, in which Fly actually does a immense amount of damage now. Especially if you fly into, you know, a team of 2 or 3 people, you can burst them down and kill them, especially in the early game. Even in the late game, dude, Fly does a lot of damage. And Talonflame's clear is a lot more effective than it was beforehand. The ganks are a lot better now with Fly. Talonflame overall does a lot of work now, especially in the right hands. I think you can argue with being A rank. You can argue with even being S rank. For those of you that are biased with Talonflame, you know what I mean? Like, if this is your favorite Pokemon, it's going to be in the top rank, for example. I think it does a lot of work. Hopefully you guys can pick him up and actually get some games in with him now, opposed to before. It's a lot more fun now. Go ahead and move on here and put Mr. Mime in the A rank. We're going to go ahead and put Wigglytuff in the A rank. Both of them do similar ordeals, both support Pokemon. Now, Mr. Mime, in the right hands, I think it's broken. And I think a lot of people would agree. I think Mr. Mime is pretty broken in the right hands. Now, as a new player, he requires game knowledge and game sense to understand how his kit works and understand what you can do in certain situations. He has walls that he throws a barrier in front of you, kind of like a Snorlax does, except for he doesn't hold it. It's not movable. You know what I mean? It's a placeable barrier. So if he walls off certain choke points or certain situations, he can use his other ability called Confusion, which knocks people into said wall and does an immense amount of damage once it collides into a wall. Now you can also use terrain. You can smash people into walls, like terrain on the battlefield with Confusion, and it does a lot of damage as well. But those barriers that you can play down inside different choke points, you can wall off certain situations where you can't even get to them. You have to wait till the barrier disappears, or you have to walk around the barrier. There's a lot of stuff you got to do now versus Mr. Mime. And in the early game, even to late game, his Confusion hits like a truck. Like, you can one-shot people. That's a lot of fun, man. Let's go ahead and move on to Wigglytuff here. Wigglytuff, she got buffed recently. Essentially, she got a bulk up, right? She has her attack, her defense, her special, or everything, or all of her stats are increased, essentially. She's a lot beefier now as a Pokemon. So she does her job infinitely better. It's the same thing, but just infinitely better. That's all, overall. The buff is like more so a quality of life ordeal, if I had to say so. Move on here to Absol. I think Absol's an A rank now Pokemon. You can teetering S rank when you're good with him in the right hands. Now, I think Absol has one of the best passive abilities in the entire game, which gives him a raw increase in crit rate. Now, as a jungler now, when you're going to lane to a gank, you generally want to come behind the Pokemon, right? As long as you pursuit behind a said Pokemon, you can go ahead and one-shot them instantly. Just delete them off the field. That's it. Like, he does so much raw damage, it's not even funny. At the same time, when you get hit by an Absol from behind, you just be like, wow, that Pokemon's OP, nerf his damage. But his kit insinuates you to play from behind. To attack somebody from behind to do damage to them. If you hit them from the front or the side or whatever and it's not a critical hit, it feels very lackluster. So he's a run and gun type Pokemon, which people argue run and gun is bad, right? But in the same sense, run and gun can be good if you can delete somebody in an instant, you know? Now the downside is he doesn't have that much bulk. So he's pretty squishy, but he has high mobility and high burst damage. So he's a high risk Pokemon. At the end of the day, though, if you like Absol, you will love his playstyle. If you like playing Assassins, you will love his playstyle. I think he will carry you up to Master's rank, but once you get to Master's rank, people will want to see Greninjas, people will want to see Cinderances, even Lucarios. You won't see as many Absols, but when you do, and they do well early game, it's really hard to deal with them. You can go ahead and put Pikachu down personally in the C tier. You could argue B, but I don't think Pikachu's that great. I think he brings what to the table? Personally, nothing. Besides, if you take Thunderbolt, you get an AoE stun. Other than that, I don't think he's very, very strong. He's kind of lackluster to me. But again, you could argue B tier in the right hands, I guess you could say. But I don't think he's a, per se, carry Pokemon. That's just me, man. Zahora, also an A tier. He got nerfed a little bit, but he's still the same. Nothing really has changed with him, except for the fact that Gengar got nerfed, so you will see him more often. And when he is played, if he does get ahead, he's going to carry your game. There's no way around it. He will carry that game for you. Especially when he's like 3 or 4 levels ahead of your team, it's over. You lose, essentially. If played correctly, he can go ahead and wipe out whole teams by himself. The Pokemon is super mobile, excuse me, as well. So you have a lot of ins and outs. He does a lot of raw damage. He's a lot of fun to pick up. This is gonna probably upset quite a bit of people right now, but it's fine. We're gonna put Crustle in B tier and Slowbro and the Broken. Why? What just happened, right? I feel Crustle's not a tank. I feel Crustle is a bruiser. For example, you could argue putting Crustle in A tier, sure, no problem. But at the end of the day, I don't feel Crustle does its job. Like it's a defender. It's supposed to be a defender. It's supposed to be a tank. But is it really though? Like I said, I feel like it's a bruiser. I feel like this is Olaf from League of Legends when he activates his ultimate ability. Essentially, that's how I feel Crustle is. You can't be crowd controlled when Olaf activates an ultimate. Crustle, you really can't take damage when he activates his Unite move. He gets a super big shield and just runs at you and auto attacks you. I mean, I feel like he's more of a bruiser, man. That's just me. He's a lot of fun though, don't get me wrong. He's very mobile. He's very fast. He gets around the map really quick. He does a lot of damage in team fights. But he's not necessarily like protecting your team. You know, he's not bringing a wall. He's not bringing CC. He brings like a little knock away, I guess you could say, knock around. I don't know how you explain it in that sense. But I don't feel he does his job as well as Snorlax does. Or as well as Slowbro does. Slowbro, oh my gosh, man. You don't see Slowbro played that much in higher tiers because people think he's garbage. I think Slowbro is one of the best tanks in the game. Same along with Snorlax. The amount of bulk that he has, the amount of crowd control that he brings, is pretty ridiculous to deal with. Now, Machamp, for example, when he becomes unstoppable, Snorlax can stop it. Not everyone knows this, but Snorlax can stop it. He can pick up his, I forgot what it's called. Is it Amnesia? I think it's Amnesia. Where he holds you up in the air and you're crowd controlled. There's that one. Also, he can do his ultimate. There's that one. Now, while he CCs any Pokemon he wants to crowd control, any of them, guess what happens? Your team can focus them down, and guess what? You delete them instantly. Let's say you have a Fed Gengar, or a Fed Absol, or Cinderace or Greninja. They jump into your team. You're like, oh crap, they're deleting people, they're killing people. When you have a Slowbro on your team, you pick them up. And guess what? You focus them, and you get rid of the problem. Slowbro is so good in that aspect where he doesn't have to do anything else other than his job to pick up the enemy carry, and then you kill them. I mean, that's just it, man. His surf ability inside of a choke point, he can crowd control the whole team. Picks you up 3 or 4 times on the waves. He does so much work for what people give this Pokemon. And he will definitely carry you, especially if you like playing, tanks. This Pokemon is definitely the one for you. If you like to tick off the enemy opponents, he's so much fun to play, guys. Don't knock him off. No pun intended. Then we have Kramer. I think Kramer's an A tier Pokemon. At the end of the day, like, Kramer does so much work for your team. You could argue S rank. I could also argue S rank, and in the right hands though. Now he brings a lot of crowd control, a lot of knockups, a lot of slows. And if you're playing with, like, give or take a Snorlax or a Slowbro in your team, like in your lane, excuse me, he does a lot of work, man. Does a lot of damage. Especially when you combo them together. His Unite move is one of the best Unite moves in the entire game, in my opinion. It's a giant AoE circle in which you stand in the center of. You cannot be crowd controlled. You get a shield on top of your HP, and you just deal raw damage. You just fling out damage. So in that sense, you have to walk out of the Unite move range, so you don't take damage. But by the time you realize Unite move is going off, like he's actually doing it, you're probably already dead. But hey, man, I hope you guys have learned a thing or two by listening to this, and I appreciate your time and what have you. Leave a like to the video, whatever. Go ahead and downvote me. I don't care, man. But please leave like your thoughts in the comment section. I'd appreciate it. I like to hear about it. Hopefully you guys have agreed with some of these or what have you. Hopefully these Pokemon get you to Master rank or Veteran rank, whatever rank you want to get to. But hey, man, this has been Pawse Plays. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'm heading out.